Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, August 17th, 2018. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker. JBook, just the question everybody wants answered, questions plural, I guess. What will ultimately happen with Urban Meyer, and when will we finally know?
I think he's going to be fully reinstated by the committee. That's what all indications are telling everyone, and I think it's going to be a great day for Ohio State fans who believe Urban shouldn't have been suspended in the first place. We could hear something today on the Friday news dump. I know there have been a lot of rumors on Twitter saying that it could be Friday. I know Zach Smith, attorney, posted on Facebook his personal opinion. He's saying that Urban and Gene will both be vindicated in this. There's no smoking gun. He thinks that it's going to be Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if the committee took their time to make sure they ran it past legal to make sure all legalities are covered. And if that happens, you could probably see it coming out maybe this weekend, the latest on Monday. But I think Ohio State fans who believe Urban Meyer shouldn't be persecuted for this entire Jerry Springer saga will get the good news.
I'm with you. I think we could find out later today. I think at the very least, the 6-person investigative committee will wrap up its investigation today, and then we will learn President Drake's decision on Monday, the press release, where maybe hopefully they have a press conference. I think at Monday at the latest, today at the earliest, and I don't think they're going to do anything over the weekend, so it's probably either going to be today or Monday if I had to guess, and I agree with you, Jonah. I think he's going to keep his job, and I think he should keep his job. Let me ask you this. You were ahead of this, the Tom Herman angle. You had talked about this, and you can tell the listeners what you want to tell them about that, how much you want to say, but you were ahead of this, and it wasn't just a hunch. I mean, I think you had a hunch and you had sources, but just when you think this Jerry Springer episode, as you mentioned, this soap opera, whatever the hell you want to call it, couldn't get crazier, then you add in the head coach of Texas, the former offensive coordinator at Ohio State, when they won the national championship, and his wife are involved in this and heavily involved. They admit that they paid for Courtney Smith's attorney fees, deny everything else, which I don't know how they can actually say that with a straight face, but just talk about the whole Tom Herman, Michelle Herman angle to this, JBook.
Yeah, I'll just give the listeners a brief, rundown. I had several people message me on DMs on Twitter several weeks ago, pretty much way before McMurphy even released his story, because I know when the first reports had surfaced about Zach and his trespassing issues, immediately people were saying this is Ed Warner who leaked this. And I had 3 different people message me and say, you guys are looking at it wrong. It's not Ed. It's look down in Austin, Texas. That's where it's starting from. And this is before McMurphy even released the story. And then as Jeff Snook got hold of the information, I also had people telling me, wait until Snook releases the information that it's Tom Herman. Is going to be a complete nuclear bomb in this entire story. So that's kind of where, and then you and I had messaged each other privately, and I go, hey, Dave, heads up on this one. This could be coming out. And then the very next day, Snook dropped the story. So to me, I think you have a lot of moving parts in this situation, a lot of stories, and just kind of trying to put the puzzle together. You can see what happened. Jeff Snook, basically the other day, went on 92.3 in Cleveland and said he messaged Michelle Herman for 2 days, over 20 texts in one day. And basically Michelle Herman is trying to distance herself from Courtney altogether, which I find laughable considering when the news first broke by Jeff Snook, Tom Herman released a statement saying his wife's good friend was they loaned money to her. Then all of a sudden they played a role. We really didn't know her that well. She wasn't that good of a friend. We were just loaning her money. We didn't know about the abuse. We didn't know anything about the allegations, essentially trying to distance himself from the situation. But to me, I think if you're to believe Jeff Snook and people out there, I think the Herman's hands in this are completely dirty. And as Snook said, according to Michelle Herman, their intention was to get at Zach Smith. And they had no idea that the blowback would be this significant that would hit Urban. They're very thankful for what Urban had done for them as far as jump-starting Tom's career. Their sole purpose of this was getting at Zach Smith. And to me, I kind of find that head-scratching for the simple fact that Courtney Smith's mom is out here saying that she has issues. They've tried to seek help for her. Everybody has known that this has been a troubled lady and the relationship was troubled. And the fact that the Hermans would take advantage of her to try to get at Zach Smith is just very eye-opening to me. Now, if you look at the whole situation where they're playing a vindictive game and they're trying to get at Zach Smith, that's one thing. But to try to lie to the media and say they had no involvement is a complete other. Because Tom Herman on August 2nd went in front of the media at their training camp opening and said he had no idea about the situation. He's not involved. They weren't there. In fact, they were probably the masterminds behind initiating the entire saga.
It's just amazing. We've talked a little bit about Jeff Snook, both you and I. We've alluded to him. I personally think the guy's doing a hell of a job. And I know from the outside looking in, people are going to say this guy is an Ohio State homer. You know, he's written books about Ohio State. He's graduated from Ohio State. You know, I mean, you can want what's good, and I think I fall into this category. You can want what's best for Ohio State, but still be a good journalist and do what's right and not put bullshit out there. And I think, you know, Jeff Snook's doing a good job here. You know, is he trying to show both sides of the story? And he's not going out of his way to do that because he thinks his job, I mean, there's only been one side of the story, you know, told before he really got on the case. I know you're not a journalist, even though we have you pretend to be one on Bucknuts. You're more of just an entertainer and a columnist, and you know everything else you bring to the table. But just what do you make of, from a journalistic perspective, what do you make of the job that Jeff Snook is doing?
Personally, I am appreciative to what Jeff Snook has done, because if it wasn't for Snook, you're essentially probably looking at an innocent man in Urban Meyer whose head was in a noose by the national media. And the thing that gets me, and it really rubs me the wrong way, is as a journalist, these national journalists, to me your job should be, here's all the facts. Here's everything that has happened in the situation, and allow the public to make their own personal opinion on the situation. But what you're seeing with this Ohio State story is totally messed up, and it's totally purposely trying to persuade the public to have an opinion. Is you have journalists, national journalists, who are going out here and they're instilling their own personal opinion, their own personal bias, their own personal vindictive attitude into their actual work, and then they're turning it around and acting like it's gospel when in fact the truth and the facts have yet to be even laid out. And what Jeff Snook was able to do in this entire story was go and see what the facts are and the story is from the other side. And since he's done that, a lot of national media people who were out there on their soapbox with their fake outrage, calling for people to be fired left and right, have taken a step back and said, this is a complete dumpster fire, a total mess. Let's see what happens. Obviously, you're still going to have those people who are pushing the drum because they're so invested in seeing Urban Meyer get fired. But Jeff Snook, he opened the other door to the story to allow the nation to see what is actually going on in this relationship and going on with Urban and Zach and Courtney, which is a complete mess. So I'm very appreciative of Jeff Snook for going out of his way and doing this. I know a lot of people on the outside are going to criticize him because he's an Ohio State grad and Urban wrote a foreword in his book. But the fact is the guy has talked to the people. He said he has over 90 minutes of taped conversations with Zach's mother, Courtney's mother. He has documented proof that the Hermans were involved. He has 2 days worth of text messages from Michelle Herman trying to explain away their situation. Now, you tell me, is anyone from ESPN doing that type of journalism? No. Brett McMurphy is absolutely not doing it because he's so invested on telling his side of the story and Courtney's side of the story. Now, to me, I just want to know all the facts. I want to know what she has to say and what the other side has to say and allow me to form my own opinion. And Jeff Snook was able to do that for the people who want to know the entire saga.
JBook, you played college football. For those who don't know, you played at Ohio University. You've been through the recruiting process. My contention is, obviously this cannot be helping recruiting. My question is, how much is it hurting? I don't think it's hurting a crazy amount, but just to pose that question to you, how much do you think this is hurting Ohio State's recruiting efforts, Urban Meyer being kind of on the sidelines right now?
Well, if you're Ohio State in the situation that you're in, you have to be very happy. And the reason I say that is because you haven't seen any decommits. A lot of kids are still talking about wanting to take official visits to Ohio State, and their interest is really high. So when you have a national scandal that is going over ESPN ticker nonstop headlines, these kids see the Twitter pop-ups. These kids, Ohio State is being massively negative recruited right now. But at the end of the day, these kids haven't flipped. These kids haven't decommit. So as you're weathering the storm for Ohio State, the only thing you can really ask for is just a hold serve. Just hold the fort down until the storm breaks, which it looks like it's going to be breaking pretty soon. Now, what you're going to get is you're going to get a pissed-off football team that's going to show up here in a couple of weeks. You're going to have a pissed-off Urban Meyer, and he's going to be out for blood. And so what does that mean? This team is going to absolutely dominate. And when recruits see that and they're on campus and they feel the tension from this football team and they feel the electricity in the air, they will absolutely be sold on Ohio State. So for right now, you should be happy because you're holding serve. You haven't lost anything, and you really couldn't expect to gain anything when it comes to recruiting. So you're just holding down the fort, waiting for this cloud to be lifted.
Fantastic stuff, as always, from my guy, Jonah Booker. Thank you very much, JBook. You can catch him on Twitter at JBook37. He's a great follow. You can catch his column on Bucknuts at his Outside Columbus. Thank you very much, Jonah, and thank you to all listeners out there for tuning in to the show. Hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.